All right, everyone, you know the drill. Welcome to
Nothing but worry.
number 132. And first thing to let you know is I'm on a 4-day weekend. What do you have to say about that, Bonnie?
I wish to God every day was a weekend.
Yep, I was just saying today. Can you imagine how much work I could get done if I was retired?
I love having you home. I really do. I remember when your parents got to the point that they retired together, they couldn't stand it. Your mother ended up getting a part-time job back at the post office delivering mail, and to keep himself busy, they bought her an old postal jeep so she could do the deliveries, and he could fix it up. He wanted to work on a jeep because he likes working on jeeps.
They
And
went
that worked out for what, 4 months? And then she quit?
they went through so many
Attempts.
yeah, changes of turns of the leaf. Got a real estate license or something at one
Yeah, he
point.
did.
They were going to be a bus driver and tour guide at one point.
That was a joke.
Just endless. But see, like, the reason I brought all this up is because, okay, like I said, I'm a 4-day weekend. Okay, I've already gone through 2 days of the 4-day weekend, and I've already gotten so much shit done. I finished all the drawings for the new issue of my online magazine, finished a painting, finished a song, started a new song, starting to get my guitar chops back up. I've just gotten so many things done. And in addition, Bonnie's gotten stuff done.
Yeah, a lot. And we've got a lot more to do. We bought some shelving units, wire shelving, and the guys put it together this week. And
Meaning me and my son
yeah.
Peter.
It's just, you make the poles and you put the shelves at each level. And so they got those set up in the library so I can take everything out of the book nook area and set it up on the shelves and play with how everything's going to work. Then I have to empty the rest of the book nook out, and therein lies the problem. The book nook has become a catch-all. As organized as I am, proudly so, that book nook is my junk drawer. And my junk drawer actually is completely organized. And that book nook has a system of organization. The problem is there's these boxes in it. And when there's something that happens, stuff goes into the box and it never comes back out. I told my dad, I said, so I opened this one box and there's stuff from Lance's car accident, what we pulled out of his car, old car manuals, etc. And I lift it up and there's stuff from the last car we had prior to that, the Prius 2023. So, yeah, great, organized. I put the car stuff with the other car stuff, but I don't need this shit. So I've got to go through this, and I've got to go through yet another purge of paperwork because, we've been audited a couple times, so I keep a lot of things. And then we've got other paperwork, like we've sold several cars, and we have the paperwork for that. And this is just what I found so far. I haven't opened all the boxes.
Well, if if we do get rid of those older National Geographics, that space under those shelves will be available if you need to put some of that crap there.
That would be nice because actually some of the stuff that I have is part of my pottery collection and it's back there. And I did a big purge and sold some stuff. But there are still a few little things like I love my blue and white chinoiserie stuff. I don't want to quite get rid of that. So I would like to be able to keep some of it, but it's not in the plan for this reorganization.
Well, so anyway, she's got all this
Stuff to go through.
survivalist amounts of canned goods and stuff we got to put on these shelves and move the shelves back into this, or racks they are really.
We would last 3 to 6 months with what I have back there. Okay, that's it.
It's that John Steinbeck quote about if you have 500 pounds of beans, you can. Well, yeah, I guess you could. Yeah.
No, but I have a 20-pound bag and a partially open 20-pound bag of Fentos. I have an 8-pound bag of dal plus a 4-pound bag
You
of
remember,
dal. I have a 4-pound bag, 2 4-pound bags of black beans, a 4-pound bag of lentils.
there used to be this Mexican joint in Athens called Mean
Mean
Bean,
bean.
and it was almost exactly the same as Taco Stand. But anyway,
It's a lot
the
different.
one over in Five Points had that quote about beans will get you through the winter or whatever the
Yeah.
hell it is on the
I
wall.
have 60 pounds of rice back there, plus a partial open one. Because we buy them in 20-pound bags, and we love the rice. It's a basmati long grain that's just perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you realize that my flour stash, I have 20 or 40-pound bags of flour? I have 3 of those.
Do you want to get another bread maker?
I've been looking at that, and the quality of things has gone down so much that the brands that you thought you could once trust, you can't anymore. And Amazon's good for one thing, reminding you why you don't want to buy this shit, because people leave reviews, and over it's the same consensus. The quality isn't the same. It's
Well,
broke after a month, after 3 months. We had that one bread maker for over 10 years, and finally some mechanism in it with the gasket broke, and the oil from the hinge, the paddle, got up into the dough, so you couldn't use it anymore.
yeah, you haven't been making bread like you were.
No, I haven't been feeling that good lately, so
A
made
lot
one
of
batch this week. That's
Yeah,
it.
a lot of our lives are on limbo at the moment until our son moves out because we just feel like we're on the verge of making some big changes. If he could just move out and
Yeah, I have numerous sheets of things I want to change. Anything from where the toilet paper is placed in the guest bathroom to where yeah, it's just a number of things. And I'm gonna send him with the laundry hamper in there. Get it out of the guest bathroom because that's the bathroom he uses. And I'm a
well,
list.
we've been looking at the first 2 volumes of our family photo albums.
Oh my
When we
God.
first got married, we ran off and got married, just the 2 of us, and then
6 weeks after we met, started seeing each other, we took off. 6 weeks.
it would have been more like 2 months. Because we met in the middle of March, and then we got
May. Okay.
yeah, and then less than a year later, had our little baby girl.
10 months after we got married.
And these first 2 photo albums, Bonnie was just over the moon about this baby, and she took just
A million pictures.
so many pictures.
Yeah. And back then you could get duplicates or triplicates, so all the grandparents got all the pictures too.
This is in the days of actual film, people.
And she was the first grandbaby for both our parents. That's our parents. And, seeing my grandparents with her, I really think that one of my cousins had babies first. One of the guys got married pretty young. So I'm thinking that she was not the first great grandchild. But it really pissed off our sisters that we had the first grandbaby.
Yeah, because they had both meticulously planned out everything.
My sister had been married 7 years, I think, at that point. Or 6 years or something. And your sister had been married, what, a year or two but longer than us?
No, she got.
Was it a year?
I'll say 10 months
Oh, really?
before me. Yeah.
Huh. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, she had a July or whatever June wedding, whatever the hell the traditional thing
So
is.
11 months difference. Okay. Yeah, and then
Her what?
then Grace came along, then Dylan came along, then Peter came along. And Grace is your sister's, Dylan's my sister's.
So anyway, you can tell we're both really tired because our conversation's pretty boring tonight. We both of us, my sleep's been fucked up.
I haven't been dealing with pain lately. Well, dealing with it well.
We had some shit we were going to talk about. What the hell was it?
Well, we had a busy couple of days. I mean, you had to take me to the heart doctor yesterday, and we ran some errands early morning and got some returns done, some prescriptions picked up, and what?
That place, the cardio place at the hospital is that is the most horrible building to visit. The artwork on the walls is the most generic slop shit. Just that you can imagine. Hold on.
Hello.
And in the waiting room of Bonnie's doctor, they have this channel playing, and you just wonder, was AI actually invented 30 years earlier than they're letting on? Because there's no way that human beings actually participated in the making of all the programming on this channel. It's one of these just...
Was it home or...
this thing was cooking. But it wasn't just the shows. It was like, they visit so-and-so. He knows how to make this amazing blueberry flambe or whatever. And well, first, Tom, we need to get the blueberries, especially from Oregon, because they make... But then it's not just that. It's also the fucking commercials are equally vapid. And there's no way that how could somebody... Well, I want to get a career in the entertainment industry or maybe making television. And so somehow you get slotted into making this just...
Dreck.
Pablum. And I'll take an interesting parallel. Many years ago, when I discovered the basement of the science library, UGA, they have all these periodicals there. I mean, thousands that they have subscriptions to because they have to keep up with all this shit. And they have periodicals, journals about the most abstruse topics you can possibly imagine. And the thing is, it's not just that. There are also trade journals for, the Tractor Sellers Association. But it's not, all of these organizations have periodicals and magazines they put out, and people have to work on them to put them together. Photo editors and, all this shit. Is this possible that there's an industry of people just doing absolute poot for a living?
Possible.
Oh, we gotta pause it. Hold on, folks. All right, we're back. I'm gonna go over some recent stuff. Probably mentioned this already. A couple weeks ago, I discovered the Japanese metal band Hachijuhachi. I can't say it right. Kashio Junrei, and the singer / bass player is Margaret Hiroi. And I just fell in love with this band, and I just thought he was so cool. And then recently I've discovered Ningen Isu, which is another Japanese power trio metal.
They're the fucking Black Sabbath of Japanese metal.
They are amazing. Yeah. And they're so clever with their riffs, and the guy's guitar playing is amazing. He looks like a little old man, glasses, little gray mustache, and they wear he and the bass player both wear sort of like traditional Japanese costumery. But anyway, it's just there's just so much stuff out there to discover, and so I've just been indulging in all this great music that you can find.
I sent you some Turkish artist this week. I can't remember his name now. And I really enjoyed that. When
I had the chance to finally sit down and actually listen to it, I was like, yeah, I put it in my likes.
Yeah, because it's in the ambient kind of modern. It's like with Hans Richter, that kind of.
It was a little
stuff.
Technically speaking, doesn't count as ambient because it's just a little too composed and
but it's that kind
arranged.
Of mellow level. Yeah. I could find very little about him online in English.
I I've had to translate a lot of stuff from this Japanese bands using Google Translate. There's one of Hachi Hachi's songs. There's a melody in it that just obsessed me, a vocal melody, and so I wanted to know what he's saying at that point, and the Japanese phrase is, God damn, I can't think of it now. Usagi ga mite ita yume ga seme. That's sort of the melody. Anyway, it translates to the rabbit dreamed of the shark.
The rabbit dreamed of the shark.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
And just the way he says it just weighs these words with so much importance. And you wonder, what in the hell?
What's the intention? Because this would never happen in the universe. I doubt any rabbit has ever seen a shark, and vice versa.
Maybe that's the point. I need to read the rest of the lyrics and get them, It's such a pain in the butt to get
Impossible dreams.
Japanese lyrics. You got to find them, then you got to translate them. You got to make sure the translation's correct. What else has been going on?
Well, we did run some errands yesterday.
And today.
And picked up some books. You picked up Mick Herron's Slow Horses.
Which I may not finish, to be honest.
I think I got through the second book and I decided that it was just a little bit more of a slog than I wanted.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was one of those books where they spent a chapter each developing each character. I do remember that the humor was very much in keeping with the show. That dry, cruel humor from Jackson Lamb.
I will say this, and this is both praise and fault. I found it the syntax a little Dickensian in its roundaboutness, and I don't know.
I can't remember specifics.
I'm getting too old to read stuff that doesn't actually directly appeal to me. The idea of reading stuff because it's good for me, or these are the lists of the greatest authors and you need to read their greatest works. I used to read like that. Got to read all of Faulkner. Got to read all of Hemingway. Got to read all of this. Got to read all of that. And after a while, you've learned what you need to learn. Now it's time to just read what is most aesthetically appealing to you.
It's funny. I mean, I see what you mean, and I've tried to do the great authors also, but I keep going back to a lot of the same tropes, the mystery detective sort of thing. And today, I picked up something I haven't done in a while, which is sci-fi. I got the latest John Scalzi novel in the Old Man series, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm also not looking forward to it because, number one, it's just a taste. Last time there was a novel out by him, I went back and read the entire series, which is great to do. But if I were to do it now, it would be like the fourth time I've read the series. So I'm just going to get this one book. And then a couple weeks ago, I had the fantasy series, Dresden Files, latest one. And I cannot tell you how disappointed I was, because it's book 20-something, I guess. And he's fallen into the pattern that a lot of these writers do. It's like, I'm putting out something in the series, it's continuing the story, but it just doesn't have the same push the original series had. There isn't the same humor, you're just not drawn in. At several points during the book when I was reading that one, it was...
Here comes our son for...
Pause.
All right, our son is on his way to bedtime. But I want to mention something about having a self-imposed program of learning the great authors. When I first got into reading big time at the age of 13, 14, 15, 16, all that, at a certain point I started like, well, what is this Henry Miller? What is this Jack Kerouac? And so that got me into, well, I need to read everything by these authors. One of the last authors that I got to before I gave up on all that was Henry James. And I got the Ambassadors at some book sale just because I was like, this is curious. What is this? And I read the first couple pages, like, this is horrible. It's just so convoluted and just... So I set it aside for a couple weeks, and then I tried it again, and I made it all the way through, and I just thought it was just wonderful. I've read that book. I know I read it back to back once, and I read it another 2 times, I think. So I thought, well, I need to read all of Henry James. Well, I'll tell you a curious thing. About a year ago, I was going through a Edward Gorey phase, and I found an old interview with him with Dick Cavett from the late 70s. And those conversations with Dick Cavett, they're really discursive. It wasn't like today's talk show shit. And they mentioned, well, what authors do you like? Do you like Henry James? And Edward Gorey said, well, the thing about Henry James is the more you read him, you find the less he has to say. And when he said that, I was like, wow. Because that really connected with me, because I just like The Golden Bowl, and all Portrait of a Lady. I read maybe 5 or 6 of his novels, and like all this Tempest in a Teapot about some trivial poop thing. And here's another thing I want to ask you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
The Ambassador. Do you know what The Ambassadors is about?
No, I don't recall.
Okay, there's this wealthy family in Massachusetts, and have the heir to the family fortune is the son Chad. When he, I guess when he finishes college, he wants to go to Europe for to polish off his education.
Yeah. Do the Grand Tour.
Well, he gets stuck in France. He doesn't want to leave. And after a while, the family gets worried. We need him to, number one, we need him to come home to take over the family business. Number two, he's over there in Europe, in France. Something could happen. He could be corrupted, And so they send somebody over there, a family friend over there, to get him and bring him back. But here's what I want to know, and it's never explicitly stated in the book, and this is what I want to know. What the fuck were they so afraid of? Was it sin? Was it un-Americanism? Was it... What the hell? This is like 1890, say. 1890.
Yeah.
Like 1901.
I cannot remember who the author was, but at the same time, there was an author writing out of Boston at that time, and his sister was one of the feminists of her time, and she had relationships with women. And so when he would write and when she would write, they were touching upon these new thoughts, these new ideas, because you remember Boston, the whole area that was just infiltrated with these Unitarians, and you have this movement of, we're going to throw off some of these ideas that we've had, throw off this staid sort of Brahmin thinking, and we're going to begin to explore women having the right to vote and the rights of women in general. You have the term Boston marriage that comes out, and then the idea of the betterment and education of the masses, and then the musings of people who were both jurists and authors. And I'm wondering if James was trying to hold on to those old ideas at the same time.
I think it's pretty clear that he does disapprove of the Americans' attitude. He thinks it's quaint. I don't know, but he is setting them against Europe for sure. But it's never made plain. And here's another thing.
I don't know enough about the whole literature of the period to speak to this.
Yeah, I don't either. So when the guy comes over to get the kid, get the young man, he finds out that the reason he's stuck there is because he's become attached to this older woman. And he's like, "Oh, this is just horrible. Oh, this is horrible. This is basically this is immoral and
Scandals.
yeah." And so basically, Chad convinces him, "Oh, this is a purely nurturing relationship. There's nothing going on. No funny business. She's just an older lady who's taking me under her wing, and she's polishing me with her French lady ways or whatever." And he's so naive that he believes him. And one day, this is the what do you call it? The crux of the novel. This is like the turning point. What counts for a climax in Henry James. Strather, who's the ambassador from Boston to get the kid, he's taking a walk out through the countryside, out someplace he's never been before. And he comes around, there's a river, and coming around the river is Chad and the lady in like a little canoe or something. And when he sees them together, he realizes suddenly they've been fucking. It was all a lie. And, you're like, are you that goddamn naive? What the hell?
In World War One, when we had to draw up troops in mass numbers for the Great War, the health services were suddenly faced with the fact that 1 in 3 or 1 in 2 men who were drawn up had some form of venereal disease. We act like, oh, we've always been such prudish, puritanical types. I'm sorry, people have been fucking forever, The novel that you said you were reading, it was out of the 1930s, where everybody is just staying drunk, etc., and they're sleeping around, etc. This is nothing new. I mean, you look at the Roman pottery and the redware and such, and there are the men, and they are in homosexual positions, naked on the urn, fucking each other. And people are people. We give into our, quote, vices because they are part of our human nature, etc. And this naive gentility, this naive Christian morality, puritanical bullshit. It's just that. It's bullshit.
Well, anyway, it was one of the big failures of my life. I got halfway through one of James's books. I think it was Portrait of a Lady, or maybe it was Golden Bowl. I can't remember. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Now,
I can't do it.
You had much better experience with Virginia Woolf's novels, though.
Well, I've only read 2 of them, and I thought Through the Lighthouse was just brilliant. I really, really enjoyed that, and I think I read that because I was assigned it from a class. I think.
Well, you read it again since you and I have been married.
Yeah, I've read it like 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
What else did you read by her?
I read Mrs. Dalloway, which I remember liking, but it didn't possess me.
Yeah.
It's weird that you go through I was known in the family as the reader, and now I just don't read like I used to. It was part of my reputation or my image, and
You have a cousin who said that whenever he read, he would fall asleep. And from the time that our children were born, I mean, at 4 months, you were reading to our daughter Babar books. We were looking at pictures earlier, and you're on the bed, and you've got the book overhead, and she's right there, curled up next to you, and looking at the book with you, and all the colors, and you're one of these people that read with emotion. And you put on the voices and such, and you pause, and you'll point to the pictures and stuff. And I think part of the problem is people don't seem to take their time to get into literature. You did it the right way when you started off. You had a grandmother who read, and she kept a list of things that she read, and she encouraged you to get into reading by being an example and encouraging you to keep a log of this. And you went the route that a lot of young men do. You did the Rose books, all these adventure novels. You did the spy and action things. And I think that's great. I think that, I will dismiss some people like James Patterson, but there really is a place for every type of literature. And there is an audience for every type of literature.
Well, see, here's the thing. Number one, I think it's been proven that the act of reading physically changes the brain. And I think that the invention of and mass dissemination of literature has altered the physical evolution of humanity. So, in a way, we, our generation, and the ones immediately preceding us, we are children of literature, children of the printed word.
And these generations
And
are the children of screens.
who knows what's going to happen. But so
Yeah.
I think that it behooves us to keep our toe in the water, so to speak, when it comes to reading. So I'm
Absolutely.
going to keep, but it's just so hard to find stuff that really connects with me. Because for a long time, I've been bored with the concept of, in a novel, we got to get this thing done. There's a plot. We have to get the box over to the terminal. This, or they have to get back in love again. Life isn't like that. Life is so open-ended, and once you've attained one goal, something else happens. It's just.
When I was growing up, my dad would pass along books to me. And when I was coming up, the Out of Africa movie came out.
Yeah, I like that movie
And my dad gave me, I think it's called West with the Night. Blixen had Karen Blixen Dennison, Isak Dennison, had a rival for Dennis Finch Haddon, whatever his name was.
Yeah, Finch Haddon.
Finch Haddon's affections. And this woman, Beryl something, wrote this book, and he passed it along to me. And then there was another book he passed along during that whole period, other than, of course, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I swear to God, this is my dad for you. The other book, I can't remember the title of it, but it was about a beekeeper, I think in Maine, and her comings and going and her daily life.
This is all by Karen Blixen?
No. This is just another book.
Okay, all right.
But the first one was West with the Night, and that was the...
Oh, so when was this? How old were you when this happened?
I was in my teens.
Oh, okay, cool.
And, but this one book was about a person who just... Her life revolved around going out and checking on the bees. And you don't even get the honey every day, just making certain that the bees are getting the right air and the hive is breathing properly and the sunshine, the rain isn't too much, and during the winter they're covered over and they're kept warm. And she putters around the garden and she goes in and reads a book and she cooks, and it's just this meandering through old age in a garden. And it was lovely. And not every book has to be, a great conclusion that you're working towards with getting all the boxes ticked for let's eliminate the red herrings, get all the clues. And while I certainly do enjoy a good mystery, absolutely, that's not all reading's about. And there's so many different types of books, so many different approaches. I mean, I read a lot of mysteries. And right now I'm going through the Kathy Wright's Temperance Brennan Bones books. And they're completely different from the show. And at one point I'd gone through Patricia Cornwell, whatever her name was, the books about a medical examiner who tries to help with the police find cause of death, murder, etc. And those were terrible. They get progressively worse and worse. And then she did this whole bullshit nonsense about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And
I just realized
it's not every genre is the same. Not every author within it is the same. You just pick and choose, and some do it better. I will pick up series that have been going on for 20 and 30 years and get that last book or the next to the last book And you're just like, why did I ever read the series? And you pick up the first one or the second one again, and you're like, oh, this is why, because they weren't always this quick, get the final check, you know.
I just realized I've I've basically given up on my German, so maybe I could get something in German to read. But the
There
problem
is,
is that was always a problem too, because finding something of any interest that was on my reading level.
well, something you and I both really appreciate with reading are poems.
Well, that's another thing.
And,
Sometimes you have to hunt to find something that's
oh, it has to be, right.
connect.
But once you find a poet that you like, you can sit down and read a couple of their poems, and it's lovely in the moment, and come back a couple of weeks later, and it's also lovely. And
It's definitely a voice, that's for sure.
yes,
Because more than anything else, that's in poetry when you find a poet that or
has
a
a
group of
voice
poets,
that you can relate to,
right, and it speaks
that
to you,
speaks
connects to you.
Yes, and it isn't always a cadence, a rhythm there. It is
It's odd how
oftentimes the moment of reflection and the way that they capture that moment, perhaps.
well, it's odd how choice of word and syntax and all that somehow in your mind adds up to a voice.
There is this, I cannot remember her name to save my life. I can see the book almost. I have a collection of this Scottish lesbian poets books, and it's some of the most passionate poetry I've ever read. And I shared it with you, and you're like, eh. It was really funny because I'm like, look at this. This is so. And it isn't, woman on woman kind of. No, it's the longing and the yearning to be with that person, the smell of them on the pillow kind of thing, the coldness of the bed when they leave it. And I was like, yes, yes, this is great. And then you're like, nah, not my thing.
Oh Lord, I'm trying to think of somebody I really like. I
There was a woman poet from the 70s that you were really into for a while. And you would read it, and I could appreciate a certain
Which
level.
one?
I can't remember to save my life. Again, these poets' names, boop, in and out of my head.
I know. I mean, I have read several women poets from the '70s, and I can't
And
think
you
of who you're
read
talking about.
was it a Greek poet to me recently, the translations?
I don't know about that.
And you and I were
But
just
I'll
like,
see somebody.
wow, this is great. And
I
the words, it was like free flow jazz. It was just throwing these images.
So the
and
thing is,
feelings
I
out
don't give
there.
a shit really if the poem has any actual meaning or not. It's just the beauty of language itself, whether it has any actual import or not. And if it has some actual meaning or narrative thrust in addition, that's just a bonus. But it's like a lot of the time, William Carlos Williams, I really, really like him, but I really don't care what he's trying to say. It just sounds good,
Yeah.
And he is trying to say some stuff a lot of time, like the wheelbarrow poem.
I don't know that one. What is
It's
it?
very short. It's like the wheelbarrow is covered with dew. It's about something basic like that, and you're like, it's like a koan sort of, in your mind. You're like, what is he trying to get at here?
Oh.
But I think what I've read is that his deal is to try to present this image that is so precise and stunning and short that it makes the image actually pop in your mind.
Poetry, for me, is an experience. In the same way that you experience certain moments. I remember going to some place, I don't know if it was Chimney Rock or what. I don't even remember the place. I remember hiking up this mountain in the Carolinas, and this friend and I get up there, and we sit down at the top of this tower of rocks. And the landscape is just laid out before you, and it's mountains and valleys and forest and the breeze and the sun, and you're in that moment. You're sitting there. The hike has been long and it's been hard, and this is what it's been about. You have come here for this moment. And I can still remember this moment, and my friend sitting next to me, and just taking it all in.
Mm-hmm.
And then the disappointment of having the next hikers come up,
No.
and they want that spot. They want to steal our moment. And poetry, for me, are those moments where you just stop and you breathe it all in and you experience it in a way that you don't normally experience things. And it creates images, it creates feelings. It's the whole moment.
I remember years ago when we lived at the old house. It was like one of these days where the outside temperature is like room temperature. So you're not hot and you're not cold. And I had gotten stoned. And we used to have a bench swing in the backyard. And I took out a book. And I remember sitting in there, and it was quiet and still. And it was perfect. And I'm absorbed in the reading. But then all of a sudden, my other senses kick in. And I can hear like people talking like way down the road, or I can hear little noises way in the distance. You're like, this is amazing. I remember when I was a kid, you'd hear the church bell on Sunday morning, you pealing, or the railroad going through twice a day.
You and I were at Don Carter State Park a couple of years ago, and we're outside on the porch. And it's the cool of the day, I think early morning. And it's fall, and the leaves are beginning to turn and fall. And as they fall, there's that layer that they hit. And it doesn't have to be someone walking on the leaves. It's that sound when it just barely hits. The leaf falls and hits other leaves. And then often in the distance there's a train. And then somewhere near is a boat. And if you focus really hard, you can hear the lap of the waves lapping against the shore. There's just something about capturing that moment. And you and I have another one of those trips planned. And we're going to go even further up into the mountains this time. And while it's not as pristine of a view, we'll have a screened-in porch this time. And we'll be able to sit out there at all hours. And we'll have a campfire. And we'll have a picnic area. And a house that we can throw open the doors to. And then the canyon and the mountains and the solitude.
Yep. Okay. Anything else before we get into some serious
Ooh, let's get
talk?
serious.
Okay. All right. Over the course of the last 2-3 weeks, been a lot of reports of military personnel complaining that their immediate superiors have told them this is a holy war. Trump is put in place by God to initiate the end times, and we will purge the planet of the infidel before the rapture. You know, all this shit. And now
Pete Hegseth,
the Secretary of Defense, has
got
come
over
out
60 minutes.
and confirmed all of it by re-emphasizing this horse shit. Now here's the problem. It makes me realize something concretely. The people in this country who are fundamentalist Christians, I think that they realize that atheism is on the rise, and more young people are deciding we either don't need religion at all, or we don't need formal religion or organized religion, and we out and out don't believe this horse shit at all. And I think that this whole let's bring about the rapture thing, I think some of them really do believe it, but also I think it's an attempt to force America back into the cross-shaped box, and it's just ridiculous, and it's absolutely dangerous as well. So what do you got to say?
I find it extremely disturbing. People that have written about it recently, the journalists, have said, oh, but this isn't going to be some crusade. I'm sorry. If the fundamentalist over there believe that the fundamentalist over here are waging a holy war, guess what? There's going to be a holy war between those fundamentalists and our fundamentalists.
Mm-hmm.
And when fundamentalists go to war, there is no holds barred. We saw it on 9/11. And we have seen crazy-ass attacks. People putting boats, driving little boats in the USS Cole. We've seen attacks on different buildings, suicide bombers, etc. The whole bullshit that's been going on since Israel became a nation. The way that Israel attacks their neighbors, has seized, water, land, etc. And it's both ways. I mean, this is just feeding into it. And I get that there's Sunni versus Shia and all that kind of stuff. And I know there are divisions in Islam and there's a war in between. But when we continue to support Israel and then sign up for their war, and it is Israel pushing this, the jihadists there are going to see the jihadists over here, and that's what they are. They're all part of the same crazy, extreme religious nonsense. They're the fundamentalists here go on about, we don't want Sharia law. No, you don't want Muslim Sharia law. You want your Christian version of Sharia law, where women are forced to carry babies by the men who rape them.
Well,
Things like that.
I've said this 1,000 times. One's identity is one of the most important, like one or two most important things about your existence. And to have your identity based in something like, well, the religion that my grandfather believed in, or our family's always been whatever, it's just a little, it's like, I was born in so-and-so county, and we think our county is the best. It's just that level of stupid. And
well, one of the reasons I like Jean-Paul Sartre's writings is that he said, you defined who you are. You say who you are. You don't have to be pigeonholed into some idea of, oh, I was born this way, I have to stay this way. He says, no, our existence, the way that we define ourselves is...
Who said this?
That. This is Sartre.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's basic existentialism. And he said, we are the ones who define who we are, what our purpose in life is, what our meaning in life is, where we stand in relation to the universe, and our responsibility to ourselves and to others. And we're responsible for that. It isn't the devil made me do it. No. When you decide who you are, where you stand, and what you believe, and how you exist within society, you're responsible for the choices that you make. And this whole thing of, oh, I was just following orders, the Bible told me so, the devil made me do it, that's bullshit. And this whole, we're going to war for Jesus, we're going to bring about the end times.
Yeah, that's basic.
They're shoving off responsibility onto their belief system. They're not taking responsibility for their own actions. Furthermore, they haven't bothered to think for themselves, who am I? And what do I really believe? They never stopped to question what they were brought up in. They never stopped to ask, is that guy at the pulpit or my dad or my granddad telling me the right things?
Well, a little beyond that, there's this mentality that, well, if I'm X, then that must be the correct side of the spectrum. So anybody who's not X is
Yeah.
wrong. And how wrong are they? Well, that's a level, they could be just a little bit wrong, or they could be wrong that we have the right to go murder them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And we saw that on
even if you
9/11.
want to remain a Christian or a fundamentalist Christian, why take that extra step to say, well, now we've got to vilify the other people? Why not just leave them alone? Even if you think that they're going to hell or whatever.
Because it makes them better Christians. See, it doesn't matter if it's the guys knocking on the door wearing the little black and white suits, or the Jesus freaks coming around going, "You children need to have vacation Bible school." It doesn't matter. They think that they have an obligation, according to their religion, to proselytize, and if they are met with persecution, then they are better Christians for it.
Well, I've said
And
this
that is
too.
scary. That's scary.
The reason that they're so hell bent on converting people to their religion is because there's always that little nagging doubt that maybe they're wrong, because there's no
that's the
evidence.
worst part. There may be some people
So
who really don't have that
so
down, Lance.
the more people we get to join our side, the more reassured we are. Yes, we are in the right camp. Yes, yes, yes.
Unfortunately, there are people who truly.
Oh, I
fervently
know.
believe
I
this
know.
shit.
I know. We were.
But worse are those who have those doubts and then they refuse to think for themselves. That's why the fundamentalist movement here in the U.S. is so opposed to critical thinking being taught in schools.
Well,
Why they're opposed to classes that expose their students to ideas that defy their ideas about the age of the earth, or that introduce their students to what other religions say, the tenets of those other religions, and God forbid they have some things in common.
Yeah.
Like they all love their children too. One of the things that I found so appalling in American history was the idea that they stole Indian children from families and forced them into religious schools.
They did it in Australia too.
They did it in Canada. They've done it around the world. And I mean, and you look at what happened in the Irish famine. You had Protestants forcing Catholics to sit down and listen to a preaching before they'd even feed them. And they still do that at places like the Salvation Army. That's one of the reasons I don't support the Salvation Army in any form. I don't care what fucking bell ringer is doing and yelling, God, I hate
It's funny you mentioned that, because we just a couple months ago passed through the Christmas season, and I don't remember seeing any of them.
Well, we didn't go out as much. Now that we do pickup for groceries, we don't go to the stores as often. And they're usually on the front.
I might have seen one in front of Hobby Lobby, but that I don't remember exactly.
You probably did, because it's Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, you and I, we don't shop as much. I mean, this week I've got multiple things online that I bought, and then we do grocery pickup. The only reason we went to Walmart this week is because they so utterly screwed up our grocery pickup and put our dish soap on top of our food, and the dish soap leaked all over the produce.
Yeah. Do you mind if I have a sip of your oat milk in a little bit?
It's there for you if you want it.
My stomach's a little bit upside down, and I don't want to eat anything right now.
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Trying to think what else.
I think it's quite good. Have you had it before?
I've not had it by itself, but I've had it added to tea or coffee.
Okay. Yeah. I don't drink it just solo. I just add it to my tea because I want to, nice builder's cup of tea. So, my sugar is sweet and low. But
So, I've been getting a lot of work done. I want to get this painting project over with. And here's another pain in the ass. Once you finish all the drawings for a magazine, now you've got to scan them all in and post them. Now, each of my issues of my magazine is 64 pages long. So the whole procedure, which I do every 3 months or so, putting out an issue, I've got to focus for a solid hour basically and make sure it's done correctly and make sure they're all put in the right order and blah 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 blah. And it's always a chore, so I don't know. I'm just going to put on some music this time and not even think about it.
Absolutely do that. I really think that you should be doing this in stages. You can open up the post and then add to it as you go.
You use that computer so much that going in there for 5 minutes a day and bothering you to use the scanner and all that.
I'm sorry. There are hours on end where I don't use it. You can easily go in there.
It's just better to do it all at once.
It's up to you. It's like with your painting project. 20 how many paintings or something?
It's 32 paintings, 32 pieces of text that go with each one.
Yeah, you should have been uploading those all at once onto a post.
Well, that's not that big of a deal. Just want to get them titled so that they match properly. And I've got to write the introduction to the whole thing after I get done explaining what it was about and what has happened through. I'll go ahead and give you a foretaste of that. What I have realized after many, many years of painting is that basically my work is illustrative in nature. Now, to be illustrative, you have to illustrate something. So, seeing as how I'm also a writer, I've just naturally come to the conclusion that what I should do is use my paintings as illustrations for my own little books. And so what I have in mind...
How many years to figure this out?
30. So anyway,
oh, God.
I have in mind to basically do stuff that looks like illustrated children's books. So I'm aiming for a narrative project down the line. So in order to get ready for the narrative project, I decided to do this project, which is each page of text is a separate little absurdist, piece of nonsense, pseudo-poetry type thing. So I've been working my way through this. I've got 4 more paintings to go to get done with it. And here's what I want to talk about. This whole project isn't just about getting ready to do the narrative project. It's also about changing what I paint, how I do it. I've changed the orientation of my canvases. I've started doing bigger canvases. For years, my trademark was to do the little border with all the little goop around the edges, and I stopped doing that through the course of this project. When this thing is all finally uploaded, you'll be able to see a fast-changing evolution of my painting through the course of this thing. So what do you think? Bonnie's the one who actually encouraged me to drop the borders.
Yeah.
Just don't, I don't know. It's not good to stick with the same thing all forever,
No, it's not. It's like that period you went with the Inspiration by Jörg Emmendorf and you were outlining everything. Then there was the period where you were using markers on the canvas. You've had a lot of different periods in time. There were the canvases that were like 4 feet by 4 feet that were homemade. I kind of still wish I had that one canvas where the people are chasing the preacher out of town. He basically gave it to me, but then it went into storage, so I don't know, it's kind of disappeared after that. But you've been through so many different phases of your painting. I mean, even artists who are like cartoonists don't go through this many phases. And maybe that's part of your ADHD. I don't know. Because you paint, you do watercolors and ink prints, you do lithographs, you do single panel cartoons, you do long form cartoons, comics, you do songs and albums, and then the songs you'll do things with words, and then do instrumentals, and then do noise songs of just this crazy noise. And then you're writing. You're constantly writing in this little book. All these little things just keep flowing on your brain, because your brain's constantly going nonstop, because this little notebook he carries around, and he writes down the randomness of sphincter
Sphincter.
sexes. Yeah, sexes. Yeah. and then he'll do a bit of poetry, and then use the poetry as, or the words as a title for the painting, or as part of the poetry, and then he'll do the short stories, then do the stories for the narrative for the cartoons, then he does the novels, the short novels, and he's got multiple novels, and I know I'm missing something in all of your you do electric and acoustic guitar, and I'm missing something, aren't I?
My charity work.
He is charitable with his time with me.
I like photography, but I just don't have time to do it, and I don't have the guts to do the kind of photography I want to do, like sort of a Diane Arbus thing where you, hey, can I take your picture? You know, when you're walking on the street, that kind of thing.
Oh, I thought you meant going down and doing the photography at the when they do the nude male model for art classes. So not the nude shots.
I'm here for the class, but I won't be drawing. I'll just be taking photos.
Sir, how close can we get to your crotch? Oh my God.
You remember we went to see there's a play called The Vibrator Play.
Yes.
And at the end of it, the college kid who's in the cast, he's naked. He shows his dick before strangers. It's, oh my God.
And he lays down, and the girl mounts him or something on stage, and we're going, why are we here? What are we watching?
I can't believe they did that.
A couple rows down were the parents of some friends of mine from college. I'm like, of course the Eagles.
You know what? I'll tell you, in that same theater, we saw that version of the 39 Steps, and I just thought that was so much fun.
That was genius. Director George Contini or Conti? What is
Contini.
Contini.
Do you still have that poster of it in your closet?
I have it. It's folded up now. Not folded, but wrapped up.
Oh, really? Why'd you put it up for?
Because I changed the closet and had to use the space. But they took the traditional story of the 39 Steps, the spy thing, and the first thing you see is some parody of the Keystone Cops.
But do you remember?
And then they start introducing Monty Python humor into it.
Yeah.
The whole thing is an absolute farce. It's hilarious. And they have people that are changing almost within sight of the audience. And so it's part of the humor of it.
There was a lot of people doing 2 and 3 parts, and having to...
And they would run off stage and put something on and come back. And it was funny because you see them running to go put on the hat and grab the
that
purse.
was what's so clever about it, is because when they're on the train, they don't have elaborate props.
But
so
they're sitting there and they're bouncing back and forth.
Right.
As
that kind
if
of
the
thing,
is, because they've got the rows of chairs, and that's what they also do. They bring the chairs out, they sit them down. We're on the train now, and they sit down, and then over the hill. It was so well done.
We need to go see some more performances, like plays and string quartets and stuff.
The UGA Theater, the main stage, they go all out. We saw Chicago, the musical, perform there. And it was so funny because our daughter was in high school drama with one of the guys there, John
That's
Barrows,
right, yeah.
one of the Barrows from the Judge family,
We
senator representatives. And so he shows up and he's a judge in the thing, in the courtroom. I'm like, oh, look, there's the Barrow Kid, you know?
Yeah, we need to do that more often. We're getting old and...
Stodgy. We went to this one string quartet from France. Go ahead and tell them.
Okay.
It was great. It was a wonderful performance.
Yeah, it's a string quartet. I think they were French.
They
must have been.
They
Anyway,
were French.
All right, so look.
Afterwards,
they have a little reception for them outside. Not inside where it's cool, but outside where it's like a late afternoon summer thing. And it's punch and cookies. And I thought, no alcohol allowed on campus, I'm sorry. So they're like, politely sipping punch and cookies,
What you don't know is that alcohol is allowed on campus in the
VIP boxes at the football stadium.
At the football stadium. At the college.
And I've seen them, when I used to work over there, I've seen them on the day before game day, taking in crates of liquor up to the sky boxes or whatever they're called.
I remember you taking me over there one day and you said, look at this. And there's a company, and they had two of those big trucks with the liquor, and they've got the pull-up panels on one of them, and the other has a full doors open with a lift gate. And these guys, they've got a coordinated team, and they're taking in dollies loaded with liquor and beer and wine.
Well, not only that, but they had major broadcasting. What's the word? Anyway, they had TV crews over there, like from NBC or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so they had their guys are all like, union guys, and they had tables laid out with coffee and donuts for them, whatever the hell they wanted,
Yep.
Oh me. Well, we need to wrap this up.
Oh, how long have we been at it this time?
We've been at it an hour and something minutes.
Okay.
So
we can always do another one if you're interested this weekend.
That's true. We're halfway through the weekend as of right now.
Yeah,
and I don't want to go back to work ever again. So if anybody wants to contribute to my well-being.
To my well-being also, I'd love to have him home.
All right. So that's about it.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Bye.
Bye.